going to talk about the blues. Yeah. Okay. Because it is a very simple musical form and yet very hard to master. You see, the blues is a musical genre. Okay. That's also a right answer. But some people say the blues is also known as 1-4-5 because of its 1-4-5 progression. Like for those who have studied classical music like Rob and Jen, you know what's 1-4-5? It's the root, the subdominant, and the dominant 5. No? Anybody who wants to know what these are? Masig na mapadayon ko. Okay. 1-4-5. When we talk about 1-4-5, for example, in the key of C, you have C, which is the root chord, and you have F, that's the dominant, and you have G, the dominant. That's the usual blues form. So, but that's not everything. So let's start from there. But the blues is really a unique musical form because many slaves came from Africa to the Americas, no? The North and South. From 1650 to 1860, there were about 10 to 15 million slaves traded. But only in the United States or in the North America was developed the musical genre called the blues. The South American slaves did not develop blues. So it is unique. It is unique to the United States. Even before the Civil War, they had songs like that. But especially after the Civil War, there was recording, and it was the first known recording I think was Charlie Patton, and it's about, they call it country and like that. But it was the first time that the musical form was called the blues. It was the time of Charlie Patton in the Daiquiri farm in Mississippi, where they pick cotton. So these people were not anymore slaves. It was after the Civil War, so they were making money, making music in the street and in clubs. That, and there were small joints. And but they were working on a farm. The form first was a cappella. There were no instruments in the cotton farm. It was all human voice. They were calling, and the other people respond to your call, like, "My baby left me," like that. Woo! The other would answer like that. So that's the call and response. In later times, like Kuchi Kuchima, like I said here, the response was changed into a musical instrument like a guitar or a harmonica, like this, for example. The gypsy woman called my mama before I was born. Got a boy child coming, gonna be a son of a gun. Like that. So you can hear the call and response, the call of the voice and the response of the instrument, which is taken as similar in weight to the voice, because they take it as a direct commentary to the call, like that. So these people were very good at the harmonica and the guitar and the banjo, like that. But okay, let's take my level of this one. I am not that good, so I hope you can see the call and response idea. So this call and response were also used by railroad workers, like when they chant in order to bend the rail, to bend the rail for assembly of the rail. So they call, and the workers respond vocally and with movement, synchronized movement, because it's very hard to bend the railway for assembly. So it was a useful form of music. They use it for their work every day. But later, it has developed into a, well, in the first place, it was entertainment, because after work, they had dance parties like that. And sometimes they don't have guitars, they only have washboards, so they don't have chords on washboards. So they still have this kind of entertainment before. So after that, during the 1950s and the 1960s, the blues music began to penetrate the United Kingdom. There were bootleg records, and the people who had these records were very fascinated by the subject being talked about in the records, like picking cotton and vast lands, like that. They can picture it in their mind. Is this place real? Like that, and it seems authentic. So they tried to research on it, and some of the notable artists who were influenced by the blues were the Beatles, the Rolling Stones, the Yardbirds, and Eric Clapton, of course. And these people were getting good at the music. They also had the Mercy beat in the Britain, so they incorporated the blues, the call and response, like that, and they incorporated it into their own music in England, like folk, because they have Celtic folk, which sounds good also. It's very near to the classical genre, no? And they mix it with the blues that came from America. So it was called the first British invasion in the 1960s, when the Beatles had concerts in America. But they still couldn't hear the blues from the Beatles. Maybe from the Rolling Stones, but B.B. King said there were no white blues bands before, because B.B. King used to open for the Rolling Stones in their American tour. So he said there were white rock bands who played the blues. He made a distinction. So when Eric Clapton was with Cream, he played a lot of blues, including covers from Robert Johnson, the very famous Crossroads Blues. But he was not taken 100% by the Americans, because he's a British playing the blues. He's a freak. Huh? He's not authentic. But then Clapton brought it all back home in his 1992 album Unplugged. He did not plan to release the album as a blues album, like, because it was maybe Clapton, even in his right age, maybe he did not think he has the right to be up there with the bluesmen. That's why in the release of his Unplugged album in 1992, B.B. King made him an honorary black man. he has to be conferred an honorary black man because he brought back to the Americans their own music. He made the Americans become aware again of their treasure that's been there all along, and some people thought had died, but it was very alive in Britain. So the British brought back the blues back into the Americans, and it made quite a rebirth, something like a rebirth of the blues. But sometimes people wonder, there's a Grammy category for rhythm and blues, and it doesn't sound like blues, because blues has penetrated all kinds of genre, even the subgenre, of course, rock, jazz, and R&B, as we know it, even reggae. Bob Marley used to do cover with all Chuck Berry, Johnny B. Good, which is a big blues. So when they say, what is the blues? Some would say 145. Some would say it is a cry. You have a guitar. Some would joke. Blues is a guitar complaining, and then more guitar. It's it's a very easy form. Guitar, complain, and more guitar. But in a way, it's true because of its simplicity. You can pretty much say whatever you like in blues, whether you're happy or sad. You can sing it in the blues form. So you have the major form and the minor form. Some even put Latin colors to the blues, like Santana and Gary Moore. You know, still got the blues. So one of the most influential guitarists in the 20th century now is Paul Gilbert. He has a simple explanation. Because blues is based on the pentatonic scale, 5-note scale. So we would ask, why the pentatonic scale? Paul Gilbert says, because it sounds good. I don't think there's another better answer for that, because music is basically a listening art. So if it doesn't sound good, you don't have to suffer. You don't have to suffer if it doesn't sound good. But anyway, here is the 5 positions of the E blues scale. I don't know if maybe you should take picture of this one because we can discuss this story. And then study at home. Anyway, the blues scale is like that. First, the flatted third, the fourth, the flatted fifth, the 5, the flatted 7, and back to the first, the root note. So let's see. Sorry. Okay. Sorry. Okay. Okay. Here's better. Here's the C blues scale. That's it. What strikes me at, when I first listened to the blues scale is that one note was like it's out of tune. Like, for example, let's take G. Doesn't sound good. It's out of tune, really, but that's the blue note. That's the flatted fifth. That note is the out of tune note. But if you play it in context of the whole scale, that's jarring, you know? That's jarring. So, but if you play it from below like this, this is it. So that's where the human-like quality of the blues scale comes from. That strange note. So here it is. So let's play the 12-bar blues, like, for example. Okay, I'll play it in E. This is boring. That's the 12-bar blues for you. But it blues does not come only in 12-bar progression. Sometimes they have 8-bar progressions in blues. So let me see. Let's take an example of the 8-bar progression. Ganahan ko mo kanta. I will sing a blues song. This is very simple. This is really not the 12-bar blues, but 8-bar, much simpler. So, yeah. Tawag ko kanta. This song is composed by Leroy Carr in 1928 with his partner Scrapper Blackwell. This is How Long Blues. How long rain's been gone. How long? How long? Baby, how long? Went to the station, didn't see no train. Down in the heart, I have an aching pain. How long? How long? Baby, how long? I feel disgusted, I feel so bad, thinking about the good times that I once have had. How long? How long? Baby, how long? I could see the green grass on the hill. I see no greenback on a dollar hill. How long? How long? Baby, how long? You're gonna be sorry, you feel so blue when you won't be babe. I declare I want for you. How long? How long? Baby, how long? Don't have no money for to ride the train. I would rather ride, babe, to be with you again. How long? How long? Baby, how long? As you have noticed, there was no chorus on the song. There was only a repeating refrain. Yeah. So during the early days, this is 1928. So the musical form was very simple, A B section like that, and there was an instrumental solo by harmonica or a guitar. So that's it. And this form, if you listen to the new songs now, especially in rock, you can still hear this kind of progression. Like, for example, a very common progression in rock is the 4-5-4-5-1, like this. Like that. So when you hear that, you can pretty well say that it comes from the blues. Although you can connect it directly to the blues, but you can pretty well say that it comes from the blues. But some of the, like Eric Clapton, for example, he tried to compose, or he tried to write a love song, consciously write a love song. Although you can't really hear the old blues kind of vibe to it, you can still recognize the song as a blues for maybe for the melody and the feeling that goes with it, because blues is not really only a progression. It is more of a feeling, like this, for example. Like, when you hear the opening note of the Wonderful Tonight, like this. That's a major pentatonic scale, but only the four notes of the major pentatonic scale. So Eric Clapton, like B.B. King, he tried to use as few notes as possible, but he expressed emotion using only very few notes. They were not, for example, maybe it's an exaggeration, but Clapton said, if I can express a feeling with one note, I will do it. He was into paring down, like learning is like, for him, is like subtraction, taking away all the unnecessary things until only the purity of the song or the composition comes out. Like when B.B. King died, Clapton said he was the last man who played the blues with such in its pure form. Maybe there are some people who we just don't know who are studying blues also in the United States, because there are so many people trying to recover that kind of musical simplicity. But in its simplicity, a lot of things grew, like jazz and rock, heavy metal, and you can still hear it even in the, for example, in the late 60s and the 70s. Even until now, some musicians are still learning the riffs that come from that era, and it really came straight from the blues. If you analyze it, like "Sunshine of Your Love" is like this. You can pretty well hear the three chord trick, like that. So even now, like now that we know, we have an idea of what the blues is. You can make it a game. You can make it a game. Listen to new songs and then try to find out if it really comes from the blues, and try to listen to some old recordings, especially B.B. King, Eric Clapton, Muddy Waters, like that, and you can hear the even in today's compositions, today's songs, you can still hear the influence of the blues. So that's why, in its simplicity, the new songs are still rooted in that kind of simplicity. Maybe because it really sounds good, like Paul Gilbert says. But here, this is extra. If you want to practice these scales, this is for study, like the form, the position. But when you practice, do this. You play in a horizontal manner. Like you mix one form with one position with the other, so your fingers move horizontally in the fingerboard. That's how it is to practice these scales. Not vertically. This is only for presentation, but you can do this also. So that's all. Is it clear enough, or do you have any questions?
One more, sir.